Welcome back, super friends. What's the current hubbub? I have some DCU-related updates and news. I will be covering that towards the latter half of the video. First, I want to address some falsehoods with a fact-check segment to start things off. There were rumored plot points that floated around recently. I am not going over the plot points, as I am sorting out what is even potential spoilers or just made-up poppycock. If any items are true, there is always context to consider, which doesn't land through leaked reports typically. Poppycock, by the way, a word you don't hear often, but the hubbub has brought it here. Oh, Lord. Anyways, from this, it dredged up James Gunn slandering again. Basically advocates against him and Superman are using his old tweets as ammunition to try and hurt the movie. So I'm fact-checking once again. Why? Because I want both fans and normies, who may come across misinformation, to have the opportunity to watch Superman without erroneously based preconceptions. Honestly, that can skew their view unfairly ahead of seeing it. Hopeful or not, based on minutes of footage is one thing. Judging it as bad and fully writing off a movie you haven't seen is another. To start, let's check this video highlight from Aaron.
What I don't like to talk about and don't want to talk about on my channel, and I'm not going to share these here, but I encourage everybody to go online and find out why James Gunn was fired from Disney before Guardians of the Galaxy 3. People need to know at this stage, okay, because it is very relevant right now. It is relevant. He did, from what I understand, he did over 10,000. Now, think about this. 10,000 of these tweets.
Then I'll talk about the Gunn tweets from back in the day.
And it has to do with a subject that should never be joked about, should never be talked about. It's absolutely vile and disgusting.
What is true? Gunn did troll engagement tweets within the topic of pedophilia. Personally, I didn't find them funny. At the same time, let's put it in perspective and have an accurate record.
He had over 10,000 of these tweets. And he got fired over it.
The Hollywood stories going around at the time of his tweets were the source of his crude humor. Gunn decided it would serve as shock humor for troll engagement online. A poor choice. He's not proud of it and did pay some dues for it. Gunn decided to wipe the slate clean on various tweets over a specific period of time. While it's true, thousands were deleted, they weren't thousands of related joke tweets. It was all his tweets on that period of time, some offensive, some not, some memorable, and some forgettable. It's truly a false claim to suggest it was 10,000 crude child humor attempt tweets. Again, I don't defend that brand of humor, but also labeling him an actual pedophile by Snyder advocate groups is also false. It's true he did get fired. However, what's also true is he was vetted by Marvel and brought back to finish Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Then he was further vetted to help oversee DC as a co-CEO. You see, he never actually did any acts or arrested for anything criminal. That's why he was able to get rehired to Marvel and then head up DC as well. Going around slandering him as an actual offender is downright wrong. It's as disgusting as his jokes. To label someone who hasn't committed any such acts as a vile pedophile, if you're doing that false information, please reevaluate your lives. I'm not saying Aaron is doing that, but some of the Snyder bros are. Just because your Lord Snyder isn't overseeing the buried. DCEU is no reason to slander James Gunn with false accusations, nor rumored plot points, which I am still sorting through what's true or false there, served as a way to try and weaponize his past, essentially, one that he paid his dues on already. Speaking of which, why is it always Superman that has such rumors? You don't see the Snyderbot bros going after Fantastic Four or Thunderbolt's rumored leaks. It definitely reeks of an agenda
You
to
thought you were going to be some great saviors?
damage the new Superman movie, an agenda that isn't even based on accurate reports. Snyder Bros want to claim they are the truest of all DC fans. I disagree. There are DC and Superman fans that paid for Snyder movies and are giving Gunn a chance because they'll give another interpretation a try. Their love for DC characters is greater than their alignment to any one director. The SnyderVerse ended for a reason. The last branch of its movies weren't connecting with normies. The superhero fatigue issue is really from both the tail end of DCEU and recent Marvel movies relying on too much of a standard formula.
But I think that what's happened is people have gotten really lazy with their superhero stories. And they have gotten to the place where, oh, it's a superhero, let's make a movie about it. You know? And they make, oh, let's make a sequel because the first one did pretty well. And they aren't thinking about why is this story special? What makes this story stand apart from other stories? What is the story at the heart of it all? Why is this character important? What makes this story different that it fills a need for people in theaters to go see, you know, or on television?
And that's a hard thing, isn't it?
And I think that it's just that's kind of gotten, you know, people have gotten a little lazy, and there's a lot of, you know, biff pow bam stuff happening in movies. And like I'm watching third acts of superhero films where I really just don't feel like there's a rhyme or reason to what's happening.
You don't care.
I don't care about the characters.
Right.
You know? And it's and they've gotten too generic. Like there's this sort of you know, middle of the road you know, type of, you know, genre tone that so many superhero movies have.
Let's see what Gunn can do for not only Superman and this DCU launch, but the superhero genre itself.
Everybody works hard,
Yeah.
but the stories have to be more compelling.
Yeah, and I think that also, like, and then people say superhero fatigue, but I think that, you know, you see now that it's not a real thing. People are fatigued with repetition.
I would want all of your power, influence, authority, all the respect you command in the command. Everyone must respect.
There's a lot of spectacle films made, and they just have gotten really generic, and they've gotten boring, and they aren't about characters, and there's no emotion to them. And there should be emotion in things no matter what.
Speaking of the DCU, I also wanted to update all of you on some current affairs. A niche movie idea that was in development has hit a snag. DC Studios' Sergeant Rock is going on leave, but it may not be permanent. The World War II picture, which queer and challenges director Luca Guadagnino was aiming to direct starring Colin Farrell, is no longer in development at the studio, Variety has confirmed, but the reasons aren't creative. According to a knowledgeable source, the need for exterior location shooting in the UK required a summer start date that the production couldn't make, and filming in the winter was a non-starter. So the studio has put the project on hold with the hope that it can start up again in 2026, though Guadagnino's continued involvement remains unclear. Another movie, though, seems to be moving along quite well. Clayface is set to begin production on October 1st, directed by James Watkins. Script written by Mike Flanagan, releasing in theaters September 11th, 2026. Also, I came across this, which I found to be quite positive and worth a share. David Corenswet gave an interview to Entertainment Weekly in 2019, where he said his pie-in-the-sky ambition was to play Superman. I said it was my pie-in-the-sky ambition, which I meant to mean that there was no expletive way it was ever going to happen. I sort of was thinking of it as, oh, who wouldn't love to get to play an iconic role like that? Wouldn't it be amazing and impossible if we lived in a universe where that could even be considered? Now David, our new and current Superman, can look up, not back. The SnyderVerse is done, and it's time for the gun. Until next time, take care of yourselves and others. Take flight in July.
I loved the purity of Superman. It was a time when I was starting to understand what movies were.